So, guys, the war on Iran is still raging. Donald Trump, about an hour or so ago, was giving his regular speech about the war. And I don't know if you guys have caught it, but I've caught it. For the past week and a half, he's saying that they've won the war. But why is ships can't go through? Why is there still a blockade? Why is there bombing still going on if they've won the war? He's just blasted his allies. For what reason? Like I said, I'm seeing this same as you guys are seeing it right now. So let's take a look and see what he's talking about. This was on live news from Jerusalem. Okay, here we go.
President Trump declared today that Iran had been literally obliterated and all its mine-laying ships destroyed, at least to the best of his knowledge. But there's little sign of the impact on the global economy easing and the relationship between the US and its traditional.
This is what he's been saying from the other day, that they've demolished everything that Iran's got, but you still see other people are saying that Iran is still out there fighting the same way. What does this war, what the effect is it gonna be on the, it's gonna have on the economy? Because right now, prices of gas is going up, petrol is going up in America already. There's parts of the UK where it's going up, and then there are going to be parts of the world where the price is going to go up. So this war is going to have a major impact on everybody's lives if the fuel keeps on rising and is impacted by what's going on.
Western allies remains fractured. Iran continued to fire missiles at its neighbors, with Qatar, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, and Israel all being attacked in the last 24 hours. Here's Jonathan Rugden.
There's something of a contrast between the firepower on board the USS Abraham Lincoln and the frustration of its commander-in-chief, who's reportedly asked his generals why Iran, a country so much weaker than his own, can still create chaos. This morning, an airstrike, American or Israeli, hit this building in central Tehran, leaving what locals said were civilians trapped beneath the rubble. Iran's naval and air defenses are crippled, its supreme leader killed. Yet it is Iran which is holding global energy prices to ransom, forcing Donald Trump, who had barely consulted his allies before the war, to attempt to build a coalition more than 2 weeks after the war began.
Like I said, it's live, so you're gonna get these uploads are gonna be coming through as well.
I would say it's like having another producer in the room that knows exactly what your song needs. This is co-producer, the fastest way to find samples that fit your track. It listens to your track and pulls in samples that fit the rhythm, harmony, and key automatically. No more scrolling and no more random loops that don't match the vibe. You can ask it to find.
This afternoon, the president said America had hit more than 7,000 targets, that Iranian missile attacks were at the level of what he called a trickle, and then he asked for help.
Numerous countries have told me they're on the way. Some are very enthusiastic about it, and some aren't. Some are countries that we've helped for many, many years. We've protected them from horrible outside sources, and they weren't that enthusiastic.
The Strait of Hormuz is the passageway for around 20% of the world's seaborne oil. Before the war began, an average of 84 ships crossed it every day. Now it's fewer than 10. The Iranians have launched at least 25 attacks on shipping. What's more, Iran is reckoned to have a stockpile of over 5,000 mines. American officials claim Iran began using small boats to lay them at sea last week. That could be counterproductive for the Iranians, who could endanger their own shipping, though the Iranians might still use speedboats to fire missiles or plant limpet mines on individual targets. Meanwhile, the US Navy is in the process of retiring these its last remaining minesweepers. And the American force is too busy attacking Iran to begin escorting ships safely on its own.
We built the greatest military in the world, and we protect people. And if we need their mine boats, or if we need anything, any piece of apparatus that they may have because of a situation that they have, they should be jumping to help us.
This afternoon, Iran's foreign minister claimed the strait is open to those.
So you see what he's saying. You see what's going on. He's basically saying that because, you know, he's helped people and stuff. A lot of people, it seems like a lot of people didn't want this war, and a lot of people saw that what the effect was going to be on the economy, because a lot of countries are going to suffer if them oils can't get through. You know, people are starting to worry already. Now they've lifted a sanction on Russia because Russia is the next, you know, country that's got a lot of oil in there. So what's happening? What is going on? I told you, I said this before, that the balance of the world is unbalanced. What's going on at the moment, and you can see what's going on right now. A lot of economies, a lot of people are going to suffer after this war, because a lot of economies are going to be affected bad.
Those who don't attack it, though how many tanker owners would take that risk? And America's allies don't want to get involved in a war they didn't start.
Mine hunting systems of ours are already in the region. We've already spoken about what we can do in relation to anti-drone capability. But this isn't just about what the UK can do. It's about how we play a part in bringing others together behind a viable plan. So that's where we're at the moment.
After 17 days of airstrikes, Donald Trump claims he doesn't know who is running Iran, that its new supreme leader may not be alive, that he has no idea who those offering to negotiate are. And that doesn't sound like a recipe for ending this war quickly.
Well, when Donald Trump was asked whether he thought the UK would be involved in an operation to clear the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, he said, yeah, maybe, before going on to criticize the Prime Minister. So Keir Starmer said the government was working with allies on a viable plan to ease the crisis, but wouldn't allow the country to be drawn into a wider war. Here's our political editor, Gary Gibbon.
Burnt-out tankers in the Gulf. President Trump has been attacking allies, singling out the United Kingdom for not sending vessels to secure safe passage for oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. Keir Starmer today boasted he was doggedly resisting those calls,
while taking the necessary action to defend ourselves and our allies.
Starmer is on the wrong side of Donald Trump at the moment. Starmer and the Spanish Prime Minister Donald Trump do not want to have nothing to do with them at the moment. You get what I mean? And I bet you when this war is over, he's going to be cursing England, and like how we curse out Spain. Starmer don't want to go to war.
We will not be drawn into the wider war.
A few hours later, President Trump was back on the attack. Downing Street insists the two men's 15-minute phone call yesterday was positive. There was no sign of that in Washington this lunchtime.
I'm almost doing it in some cases, not because we need them, but because I want to find out how they react. Because I've been saying for years that if we ever did need them, they won't be there. Not all of them, but they won't be there. I was very surprised with the United Kingdom, because the United Kingdom, 2 weeks ago, I said, why don't you send some ships over? And he really didn't want to do it. I said, you don't want to do it. We've been with you. You're our oldest ally. And we spend a lot of money on, NATO and all of these things to protect you.
My leadership is about standing firm for the British interest, no matter the pressure.
Although President Trump singled out Keir Starmer for criticism, both France and Germany dismissed the idea of sending vessels to help to reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
This war started without any consultations before. We can't be anywhere on the world, and we can't be at every place to support a war which we didn't start.
The pushback from the countries he's asked was pretty immediate. I mean, we're seeing the effect here of repeatedly calling us late or idiots or ineffective, and then a week later up.
And that's the thing, like with Donald Trump, when he don't get his own way, he start being disrespectful, and a lot of people don't really take that disrespect. And if you want the help of these countries, but you clearly said that you don't want the help of these countries, but now you're being disrespectful when you're calling them names and stuff like that. And you know, you can't really bully people into doing stuff that they don't want to do. Like that guy said before, none of these countries was consulted when you was going to war. So, you know, let's hear what's going on.
Asking for help. So you can't really be surprised, I think, when there's a slightly lukewarm response to this.
The strait at its narrowest point, Iranian hills visible from the Gulf states. Although President Trump boasts that Iran is already broken, experts say making this a safe passage for tankers is riddled with danger.
Iran has multiple ways of causing damage in the Persian Gulf, whether that's through ballistic missiles, drones, underwater frogmen, mines, subsurface vessels of different types, fast attack boats. It has quite an arsenal of measures which it can deploy against a force which is trying to achieve security in the Gulf.
Britain's last naval vessel based in the Gulf, a minesweeper, just retired from service a couple of weeks ago. Unmanned drone boats sweeping for mines were intended to perform some of its tasks, but nothing's been decided about what could be offered to open up the Strait of Hormuz, and Keir Starmer seemed more focused on negotiations to end the war.
In the end, however it comes about, there is going to have to be a negotiated settlement of some sort. We mustn't lose sight of that.
You know, the Prime Minister of UK, United Kingdom, yesterday told me, I'm meeting with my team to make a determination. I said, you don't need to meet it with the team. You're the Prime Minister. You can make your own. Why do you have to meet with your team to find out whether or not you're going to send some minesweepers to us or to send some boats?
Oh, look, I mean, it's a good relationship. We had a good discussion yesterday about the Strait.
Why does Keir Starmer keep on saying that he's got a good relationship with this man? Because right now, I see Donald Trump belittling Keir Starmer and cursing Keir Starmer. Why does he keep on saying that, you know, he's got a good relationship with Donald Trump? Donald Trump is only, only talking to you because he wants you to do something, mate. Stop saying that you got a good relationship. Donald Trump don't want to have nothing at all to do with you, mate. I'm telling you right now. Listen to how he talks about Keir Starmer, and he keeps on going at Starmer. You know, he don't really talk about much people, as it's just Starmer mostly.
As you would expect. Thank you all very much indeed.
Keir Starmer said a credible, viable plan was needed for the Strait of Hormuz. The clear inference, Donald Trump doesn't have one. Well, what a world away that was, Keir Starmer's performance there from the buttering up phase of his relationship with President Trump. There was one particular moment stood out, I thought, when he did a sort of exasperated huff at one point, Keir Starmer, marginally more emotion on display than usual, when he said the idea of freeing up the Strait of Hormuz, it's not easy, it's not straightforward. You felt he was trying to bat away words that had come down the phone from Washington to him only yesterday. And indeed, it is not easy. The deployments that would be required for enormous number of destroyers, convoys, minesweepers, trying to work out where on earth all the Iranian retained capacity was, would be absolutely colossal. And what Keir Starmer does have, though, at the end of the day, is finding himself on the same side of public opinion, a rather unfamiliar position for him. But he knows that he'll get virtually no dividend for that, probably none at all if the cost of living skyrockets. And we had that announcement in that press conference.
That's what we've been talking about. You know, if cost of living goes up because of what's going on there, Keir Starmer is gonna be getting it from the public. A lot of the British public don't like him already as it is, and you know Nigel Farage is gonna have something to say negative. But yeah, something. I don't know what's gonna happen, and I don't know what is this war, what the effect it's gonna have on the United Kingdom, because no oil can't get through and people are going to be affected and prices are going to go up on a lot of stuff. And like I said, Keir Starmer is not a favorite of the people a long time ago. So what is going to happen, you know, if he does the wrong thing when he come on to this war and the economy suffers because of it?
£3 million, that really is small change in Treasury terms, of help for people who are particularly disadvantaged by rises in heating oil. And that's going to be targeted on the most vulnerable, distributed by councils in England, the devolved administrations in the rest of the UK. But some people are wondering if you're going to hand out that amount of money, small in itself, but it does imply you could have some very, very big bills around the corner if you're going to try and do any sort of compensation for real suffering amongst people who use other sources of energy.
Gary Gibbon in Westminster. Well, earlier I spoke to Iran's ambassador to the UK, Syed Ali Musavi, who has had 2 family members killed in the bombing in Tehran so far. I asked him which ships are being allowed to pass the Strait of Hormuz and which are not.
The Strait of Hormuz is open for all of the vessels and ships, except the American ships and their allies to attack us.
Yes. So who do you regard as the allies?
Yeah, regarding for you can see that every country that wants to help the aggressors, you know, giving the different military bases or intelligence lodges.
So all the Gulf states.
No. Regarding for the Persian Gulf states, let me. I do reiterate that we have still with them diplomatic relations. Our Iranian ambassadors working there, and we do not have any conflict, any war with them. We are defending ourselves only for according to our self-defense right.
But are you saying their ships can pass?
Yeah, they can pass.
So UAE.
Yeah, so what about the bombs them that are in the water? Did Iran not say that they got bombs and stuff in the water? So how are them ships are going to pass through and be safe? Ain't that what they're doing? Ain't that what Donald Trump wants? Bomb sweepers to go under the water in that Strait of Hormuz to go find if there's any bombs. But if those ships, but they're saying that 10 ships are going through. So what are we supposed to believe? Is there bombs in the water? Because if there's bombs in the water, then some of these ships are in danger.
Regarding for the
Saudi, all of those ships can pass.
Every case.
I'm confused. Somebody enlighten me, please.
Every case should be monitored.
But the ships that have been hit so far were not just American vessels.
No, we have warned to them regarding for the observation of their own security. Unfortunately, now we are witnessing the false flag operations against Iran, and so we should observe everything. We should monitor.
What do you mean? Do you mean the ships are being hit by the Americans?
Why not?
Well, it's a crazy idea.
No. It's not crazy. Unfortunately, now we have realized that the false flag operation during this crisis has been doing, and so it is very, very important for us to be vigilant.
How does Iran view Britain and British ships?
We welcome their own initial position regarding not involvement with this war. But nowadays we have received some matters in the name of the collective self-defense that we declared to them.
But right now, Britain is not attacking Iran in
Yes,
any way,
yes.
but it is allowing American bombers to use British bases. Does that mean Britain is your enemy?
Right now that we have declared to the British government and British officials that do not involve with and participate with this illegal war, and they know that this war is illegal. But regarding for the other matters, it depends on their activity.
But can you define participate? Do you believe Britain is currently participating?
I think not. I think not yet. But I do believe if they want to do something, there is no doubt that the Iranian side will defend ourselves.
What are the circumstances under which Iran will stop this war now? If the Americans and Israelis cease fire, would Iran cease fire?
You see that, we have declared several times to all of the world that the first priority of Iran is diplomacy and was diplomacy. Now is still the diplomacy. Unfortunately, they destroyed the diplomacy 2 times. I do believe 3 times.
But if they stop now, would Iran stop?
If they stopped, you see, only not stopping and 6 months later, again, another war. We need to give the assurances, guarantee not to repeat this kind of illegal activities, this kind of criminal activities against one sovereign state, against the Iranian people, against all regions.
Can we talk about the nuclear program? Because that is one of the justifications made by the Americans and Israelis.
Live, people, it's live.
When it comes to all things HR.
Why did Iran get to 60% enriched uranium when that's way beyond what you need for civilian use?
As far as I heard from some of our scientists, that the purity of this kind of enrichment would very important for using of other.
It's a long video, so adverts are gonna come in and out. I try to get them away as fast as I can.
Applications of the nuclear, isotopes and some for the, for medicine activity.
But it's the politicians who are deciding what happens now, because they say you were at 60%, within a few weeks or months, you could have been at 90%, and then you're months away from having a weapon. That's one of the reasons.
No. Iran,
they are giving for the war.
No. We are the member of the NPT. We are the responsible member state of the IAEA, and every Iranian nuclear activities, including the enrichment, in the 60%, all of them have been monitored by the IAEA.
Now, Iranians themselves, we don't know what people think, in truth, because there is no freedom of expression in Iran at the moment. I mean, why is the internet cut off for a start to ordinary people? Why is communication so difficult with ordinary Iranians?
You mentioned some things regarding for the freedom of expression. Let me. I do recommend you to. I hope in the future travel to Iran.
I have been.
And so see directly the Iranian society. This is unfortunately that we are witnessing some of the people, living outside the Iran and making the propaganda against the Iranian people. But if you travel to Iran, you can see very strong unity and solidarity against the aggression.
But do you now think it was a mistake for the security forces to kill so many protesters earlier this year? Because it has made the outside world think you are a repressive regime who murders people on the street.
During this, in January, we have witnessing one plot against the Iranian people, I do believe.
By who?
By the foreign agent coming inside and making some problems for the Iranian people. And
you can't have tens of thousands of foreign agents.
Listen, the man asked you a question about the Iranian people that was protesting and that was getting bombed or whatever was happening to them. That's what the man's asking you. Answer the question and stop beating around the bush and talking about agents.
These were Iranian people on the streets, weren't they?
You know, you see that's just, it's not a simple matter. You know, during the after the Islamic Revolution in Iran, we have experienced several plots against the Iranian people, against the Iranian government.
Having been there, I know that when you speak to people who are critical, they don't feel able to say it openly because they fear that they would be arrested.
I do not want to claim that we do not have any problem. Yes, nobody perfect. Nobody, no society perfect. In the United States as well, you can see different problems. In United Kingdom as well.
Of course.
You know, and so in the Iranian society has their own problems regarding for the different issues.
Finally, I mean, you know, today, many people are very worried about escalation. You know, what is your state of mind today? Are you hopeful? Are you pessimistic?
We are keen and eager to find one proper and as well as rational way to stop this war. And but unfortunately, that during the two wars against us, we need to find one mutual trust, mutual confidence.
Ambassador, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And you can watch the full 40 minutes of that interview on our YouTube channel. Now back to Matt in Jerusalem.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Well, Israeli troops have pushed into new parts of southern Lebanon in what the military called limited and targeted ground operations. It's exactly 2 weeks since Iran's ally Hezbollah began firing rockets into Israel, pulling Lebanon into the war. Since then, Israeli attacks have killed at least 886 people, including 111 children, and displaced almost 1 million others. Let's go over now to our international editor, Lindsay Hilsum in Beirut. Lindsay.
So, Matt, that's a sixth of the Lebanese population displaced in 2 weeks. Never have they seen something quite like this before. What the Israelis said today was that those people would not be allowed to go home until people in northern Israel no longer were subject to Hezbollah firing. That's like a sort of trade in suffering. But the fact is that Hezbollah is pretty ineffectual and Israel has excellent defenses, whereas Israel has massive weapons that it is using to bomb this place and all their missiles, and Lebanon has almost no defenses. Increasing numbers of casualties, including children. You mentioned the 111 dead, 332 injured, and that number is likely to go up. The tragedy of this country is that it's seen so much war in the last 50 years that they have grown very used to treating children with war injuries. When they're older, they might study the Strait of Hormuz in geography. But the displaced children of Lebanon have been taken out of school, at least for now. They know nothing of geopolitics. 11-year-old Zainab was the youngest of Hassan al-Jabal's 4 girls. She had so much promise, but an Israeli missile killed her.
This is what we don't like, you know.
لك زينب شو بدي احكي لك عن زينب؟ زينب شيء المعلمات بيبكوا هلا بيزوروها بيبكوا من عيون ما فيها الا بدها تروح لعند المعلمه بدها تبوسها وبدها ما بتفتش على الصف الا تبوسهم وتجيب لهم هدايا.
The family home in Libaya in the west of the Bekaa Valley took a direct hit at 4 p.m. on March the 5th. When Zainab, her mother and her 3 sisters were cooking the iftar meal to break the Ramadan fast. 16-year-old Malak is in a critical condition with concussion, a broken shoulder, broken legs and shrapnel near her spleen. 14-year-old Kauthar in the beige has fractures all over her body. 12-year-old Fatima, crouching by the snowman, has lost an eye and her jaw is fractured. The girls and their mother are being treated by a British surgeon here in Beirut.
It's almost like a kind.
This is the part of the war that, you know, hurt my soul because, you know, these innocent kids are getting hurt. Some of them are, you know, unalive because of this war that is going on. They didn't ask for it. You know, these are adults, governments, you know, radicals, whatever they want to be called, all playing a game, or, you know, people with egos that don't really care much about nobody but themselves, or whatever is getting hurt, their egos, whatever they're dealing with. And, you know, the kids, the people that don't even want this war, that's not warmonger, people just want to live a normal life. That's what hurts me the most when they come on to this war.
Kind of one continuous war that has been happening since October 2023 in Lebanon. We know from the medical literature, any child wounded at war will need between 9 and 12 surgeries by the time they reach adult age. And so what these children will have is at least a decade worth of surgery. And unfortunately, a lot of them will be left with some form of disability.
Today, the Israelis bombed Khiam in the south. They say they don't want to kill and injure civilians, so they've told all non-combatants to leave the area. If they don't, well, Israel is determined to destroy Hezbollah, and Hezbollah plans to keep on fighting.
Having done this for now almost 30 years, one of the things that I find so shocking is that the treatment of these children will always be cheaper than the price of one of these missiles. And that's the irony of human civilization, that there's always money for the missile, but there's never money for these children.
Hassan's daughter Kauthar filmed her dad, teasing him, asking him to buy her something from the shop.
خلاص عنجن اجرام اني ما في بن يأذوا بن يقتلوا بس انه بتطلع بالانسان ما خصه بشيء ولا شيء ابدا لانه ما هن لا حضروا ولا عملوا شيء انه لا انظروا انه لان احنا فلينا بس انه ما هي انظروا ما في شيء خلاص ضربوا هاي.
Today, the Israel Defense Force released footage of what it said was a limited and targeted operation against Hezbollah's terrorist infrastructure in southern Lebanon. Lebanese fear that it will be neither, and that many more children will be injured and killed.
Lindsay Hilson reporting from Lebanon. And if you have trouble reading the subtitles, there'll be a dub version of Lindsay's report on our website shortly. That's at channel4.com/news. Now, despite its war on Iran and Hezbollah, Israel continues to strike Gaza. One Palestinian died earlier today after an airstrike hit a group of civilians north of Gaza City. At least 12 people were killed on Sunday, including 2 boys, a pregnant woman, and 8 police officers whose vehicle was hit on the main north-south road through Gaza. The Palestinian family was also killed in the West Bank at the weekend when Israeli forces opened fire on their vehicle. And debris from missile attacks landed across Israel today, including right here in Jerusalem, very close to some of the most sacred locations in world religion. This piece from an Iranian missile meters from the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. This giant piece of a ballistic missile less than a mile from the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the third holiest shrine in Islam. And this piece in front of the Israeli Knesset. In all 3 cases, no one was injured. Well, I'm joined now by Amit Segal, one of Israel's most influential political journalists and the chief political commentator for Israel's Channel 12. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Let me start with this. If President Trump declares victory, and he's desperate to do so, but the price of oil is still above $100 a barrel, that's not victory, is it?
Not for the US. It's very interesting because what we are seeing here is 2 different wars with 2 different goals.
Right.
For Israel, even if the war stops today, it's already a huge achievement, eliminating 70%.
Despite all the missiles still coming in?
Yes, because the scenarios beforehand talked about 800 casualties and 50, 60 missiles in one barrage. Now we are talking about 8 missiles, I think, today in the entire Israel and 25 in the entire Middle East. For the United States, however, the energy thing is way bigger. And that's why I think the perception here is a bit different. People always talk about in Israel about what is the leeway that the president would give to the prime minister. Here, I think it's the other way around.
But is there a danger for Israel in all this? Because if Trump basically thinks, the price of petrol is too high for his own midterm elections this year, he's going to walk away from this.
But peeps, this is going to be running on all day, all evening. So I'm out for now. Catch me in the next one. We're outside.